Spearman's rank order correlation coefficient, or Spearman's rho for short, is a non-parametric test used to analyse correlations which generate ordinal data. The formula for Spearman's rho looks complicated, but it really isn't once you break it down. In the formula, RS simply means Spearman's rho, 6 sigma d squared means 6 times the sum of differences squared, and n, open brackets, n squared minus 1, close brackets, simply means the number of pairs of scores times the number of pairs of scores squared minus 1. We will investigate the correlation between self-rated aggression and peer-rated aggression. As we are analysing ordinal data, it is necessary to first rank your data. Put data into rank order and then give the highest one a value of 1, etc. If you look at the table, you can see how we've dealt with shared ranks. Once this has been done, we can then enter our data into a table for calculation. You'll see columns labelled D for difference between rank values and D squared. The first step is to calculate the differences between the ranks. So in this case, 6.5 take away 6 is 0.5, and so on until we've filled the whole differences column in. Our next step is to calculate differences squared, or D squared. We do this simply by timesing the difference by itself. 0.5 times 0.5 becomes 0.25. Once we've calculated all of our differences squared, we simply sum them up to give the sum of D squared. We have now calculated sigma D squared, and we can now substitute this number into our formula. D squared is 12. If we now look at the number of pairs of scores, we have 7, so n is 7. 6 times 12 is 72. We always calculate our brackets first, so 7 sevens are 49, minus 1 gives us 48, so we have 7 times 48, and that gives us a total of 336. So 72 divided by 336 gives us a figure of 0.21. Putting that into our formula, that gives us a calculated value of 0.79. By just applying the eyeball test to this, you can see that this means we've got a positive correlation between self-rating of aggression and peer-rated scores of aggression. We now need to look at the critical value tables for a one-tailed test at 5%. The critical value is 0.714. Therefore, our result is statistically significant. There is a positive correlation between self-rated aggression and peer-rated aggression, so we can reject the null hypotheses. In Spearman's rho, the calculated value must be greater than or equal to the critical value in order to be significant. You may have noticed that in the critical value tables, all the values quoted are positive numbers. This is because when you calculate a correlation, the plus or minus simply tells you whether or not your correlation was a positive one or a negative one. In correlations, whether you've predicted a one or a two-tailed test will depend on whether you've stated right at the outset whether you expect to find a positive or a negative correlation, which would make it a one-tailed test, or if you've just stated there'll be some sort of correlation but you're not sure which, then clearly it's a two-tailed test.